Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Bernadette Alexander. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Corporal Victor Herbert Goswell, who are watching the live stream of this ceremony. His story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome one recruit training unit from the Royal Australian Air Force Base at Wagga Wagga. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by a representative on behalf of the family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Victor Herbert Goswell. Victor Goswell was born in 1895 in Tamworth, New South Wales. He was one of 8 children born to Thomas and Margaret Goswell. During Victor's childhood, the family moved north to the town of Armidale. He completed his schooling at the Armidale Public School and was promoted to sergeant in the Senior Cadets in 1909 at the age of 14. After his schooling, Victor found work as a draper in Armidale. Victor enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 29th of May 1915. He was allotted to the 10th Reinforcements of the 20th Australian Infantry Battalion with the rank of private. After 6 months of initial training in Australia, Victor was granted the rank of acting corporal, departing Sydney in HMAT Osovia on the 11th of March 1916. After a brief period of training in Egypt, Victor left Alexandria to join the British Imperial Forces fighting on the Western Front in early May 1916. He arrived in the southern French port of Marseille on the 18th of May and from there travelled to the 2nd Australian Divisional Base Depot at Etaples. Victor was taken on strength of the 20th Battalion from reinforcements on the 6th of July 1916, just in time for the battalion's involvement in the bitter fighting at Pozières between late July and the end of August 1916. Pozières proved a brutal introduction to trench warfare. Between the 24th of July and the 6th of August, the 20th Battalion sustained 510 casualties. In the reorganisation that followed, Victor was promoted to temporary corporal. Following the fighting at Pozières, the battalion moved into Belgium and northern France for a spell in a quieter sector of the front. While there, Victor wrote home frequently to his father, writing candidly about the horrors of warfare. In August, he wrote, "We have had 12 days of absolute hell and are now out having a rest prior to another flutter. 3 of my pals were killed in the advance, and our reinforcements also lost a good many." In September, he explained to his father, "We have just completed another 7 days in the line, and it has been anything but pleasant. It rained for the greater portion of the time." Later, in the same letter, which did not reach Armidale until mid-November, Victor reflected that it will be grand when this awful struggle is over. No one, only those who have seen it, can actually form even a slight idea of the awfulness of it all. And apart from the waste of life, the cost in all respects is terrific. The 20th Battalion returned to the Somme in October. By this time of the year, the Somme battlefields had been deluged with rain, leaving cloying mud and miserable conditions in its wake. After a spell in the front line outside Montauban in early November, the 20th Battalion provided reinforcements for the attack near Fleur from the 14th to the 16th of November. In his official history, Bean described the time that AIF spent in Fleur sector as the most trying period ever experienced by the AIF, largely due to the mud and brutal conditions. On the afternoon of the 15th of November, Victor was one of the men from the battalion manning the frontline trenches outside Fleur. During the afternoon, he was killed in action, either shot through the head by a sniper or killed by a German bomb. He was 21 years old. Victor's body was buried close to where he fell on the night of the 15th. After the war, his body was exhumed and reinterred in Willencourt, British Cemetery. His name is also listed on the roll of honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Victor Herbert Goswell, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.